Rise of Kingdoms content creators are leaving the game of Rise of Kingdoms, but maybe it's not quite as bad as it sounds. Join me to find out. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. Today, we are going to be discussing a topic near and dear to my own heart, and that is Rise of Kingdoms content creators making content for the game of Rise of Kingdoms. Now, disclaimer before I get started, a lot of this was spurred on by the amazing video made by King Schmuck. This will be linked in my description if you want to go check it out. Now, the main overview of this video is that there were a bunch of big content creators that used to make a lot of content for the game. These creators included Dragothien, it included Legend Roni, it included Gekko, it included Echo, it included Bulburitos used to even make videos. He doesn't make videos anymore, now he just streams. It also included Shinchi, who I'm going to be making a video with to share with you all. Now, all of these content creators have a few things in common. A, they started creating content for the game well over a year ago. Some of them even as back to the beginning of the game. And this included Legend Roni, who was the big one, who was one of the first Rise of Kingdoms content creators ever to come on the scene. And all of these Rise of Kingdoms content creators were really great for the beginning of the community. However, there were some things that they did or just happened by circumstance of them being around, which actually discounted and discredited the rest of the game. And what do I mean by this? Shappy, what are you talking about? Well, there are a couple negatives that come to having all these big, good content creators around. And one of those is that for smaller content creators like myself, when we put out videos, the way that our videos get promoted is they get put up against other videos with similar names and similar tags. And one of the big issues with this is that if I were to upload at the same time as Drago or Shinchi or Chizgul even, what happens is my video tends to get a lower click-through rate, and I'll show you this on the screen. It gets a lower click-through rate than some of their other videos, which means that my channel can't really grow as a consequence of those big YouTubers being around. Now, that's just when we talk about videos and impression click-through rate with videos. It's even worse when we talk about streaming. Now, there are some content creators that stream fairly frequently that we still see this happen with. But the big thing is if I were to try and stream my KVK and Shinchi were to be in that same KVK, or Legend Roni were to be in that same KVK, what would actually happen is when you go to look up that KVK live, their video is going to show up above mine. Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem like such a big deal. But what ends up happening is their video gets more likes, it grows more, and mine doesn't even get promoted by YouTube. Because once your impression click-through hits a certain amount, YouTube will actually stop pushing out your stream to other people. They'll stop pushing out your video as well. Now, if they're in the same KVK as me, fine, totally fair, it makes sense. The problem arises if they're in a different KVK and they're just streaming your KVK to their viewers. Because what happens is people end up stop looking for new YouTubers to be watching, which causes a lot of problems for smaller channels and doesn't really enable them to grow. This effect really makes it so smaller channels can't thrive and you have a threshold of content creation that's already been reached. Think of it this way. If Chizgul were to upload a video, and I were to upload a video, and Shinchi were to upload a video, and Omniarch were to upload a video, as a viewer, which are you honestly the most likely to watch? My guess, it's probably not going to be mine. And there are a couple reasons for this. Sure, maybe you like their content better, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of the content creators that quit made amazing content. But oftentimes, it's that you just won't see my video because I'm the fifth one down. And who clicks the fifth one down? They're going to click the first one down. Now, this also has further issues when we talk about making content that other people may have already covered. And a great example of this is beginner guides. Beginner guides in Rise of Kingdoms are one of those staples that every single content creator really needs to make. And the problem is, if I were to create a beginner guide and one of these older content creators, Legend Roni, were to create a beginner guide, his video is going to get pushed out more than any of the new creators simply because of the search engine optimization that his legacy video is going to get. Think of it this way. When you search for something, the way YouTube and Google work is it goes by a validation system. So if someone has searched for that same query and clicked on that same result numerous times, they're more likely to show that same result to people with subsequent queries. So even though I just created a beginner guide, odds are pretty high you're still going to see Legend Roni's instead of mine. And you can test this now if you want. You can go and you can search for any video that's fairly common, say a tier list, things like that. Now, there are some advantages to uploading now and currently. And the reason for that is YouTube and Google also both favor a recency bias. And one of the interesting things is since a lot of these older YouTubers, not by age, just by channel, have left the Rise of Kingdoms scene, you've seen a major influx of a lot of new creators. And the reason for this is if I create a beginner guide today, the only people I'm competing against are other smaller YouTube content creators and a couple of big ones, Chisgul, Omniarch, love them, but it's a lot easier to compete against two big creators than to be competing against a bunch of big creators. Now, the other thing I'll call out here is the absence of these other creators has created this really nice space for smaller channels to grow. And you may understand that from what I said earlier with how impression click-through rate works and being able to actually get some visibility to your videos when you create it. But the other thing is, if all of the big content creators already cover everything that you need, everything that you might be looking for, commander testing, tier lists, etc., you're not going to be looking for new channels. Why would I click on some random channel instead of a creator that I already know and love, like Dragothien? And this is actually a big challenge for smaller content creators. And it is noticeable. Since all of these older content creators have left the scene, you've seen a rise of other creators. Myself, Gaines Gaming, Plotto, King Schmuck, Furious. The list goes on. All of these creators have only been able to grow in the vacuum of the older content creators leaving. And this has been a really big deal because it means that there's a lot of opportunity for newer creators to actually get visibility, to actually create content that you may love, but you would have never been able to see before simply because those larger channels with the higher subscription rate mean that they're going to get more visibility to their videos. And you can see this today. Chisgul can upload a video. Within an hour, he'll get 1,000 views. Within an hour, I think maybe I'll get 100. And that's just how it works because it gets pushed out to a greater volume of people. And then because that greater volume of people watch the video, there's more likely that it's going to continue to get pushed out at scale. I don't have that kind of volume that some of the larger creators might have. So this is a really big deal. Now, the other thing that I think is worth pointing out is in some instances, these creators left the scene because they were tired of the game, or they didn't like making content for Rise of Kingdoms anymore, or they had health issues and they just needed to take more time for themselves. And that's a really big deal. Let's take a look at these creators and how we should actually really approach this. These creators don't want to be making content for the game anymore. If they stuck around, what this would mean is that you as the viewer would not only be seeing their videos before everyone else's, but you're also going to be seeing videos that people aren't really that excited to be making, which means you're seeing kind of less quality content and it's going to be less diversified. They're not going to be coming up with new and exciting ideas because they're only really making videos just because. So should you be going and unsubscribing from Shinchi? Absolutely not. He's going and making videos about topics that really excite him. If you're only subscribed for Rise of Kingdoms content, maybe it's time you find some other channels from smaller creators that might be interesting or exciting to you. And Lilith has seized this opportunity, and it's really, really intriguing. With all these new content creator programs that they've rolled out, these shorts competitions, and more. They've created a community of new content creators that have some reason to create new content, can grow quickly, and can get compensated for making these videos and spending money on Rise of Kingdoms. And with all of these newer content creators, you get people doing exciting, weird things. You've got Mr. Siege making content that's only about Siege videos. You've got Archer Syndicate making content about what it's like to be an Archer primary. These kinds of YouTubers would have never thrived in the days of Wick or Dragothien. And the reason is because you probably would have never seen their content, because you're getting pushed the content from the big content creators. And this excitement and nuance and interesting content that people are making, you are finally getting to see as part of the Rise of Kingdoms creator community. And I hope that you guys are enjoying it. I'm going to drop some links to other channels that you may not have seen in the description below. Be sure to go check them out. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. This has just been my take on older content creators leaving Rise of Kingdoms and why I believe it's actually a good thing for me, and it's a good thing for the rest of the content creator community, as well as the Rise of Kingdoms community at large. If you've enjoyed, hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right hand corner, and hit the bell to get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you all. Shappy out.